Have you ever watched someone your age retire at 40 while you're still grinding away at 60, wondering where the hell you went wrong? Maybe you've seen that friend who started investing pocket change in their 20s and now owns 3 rental properties while you're still debating whether you can afford guacamole at Chipotle. Well, here's the uncomfortable truth that nobody wants to talk about. Every single month you postpone starting your financial journey is costing you thousands of dollars in future wealth. Not hundreds, thousands. My name is Nick, and I spend way too much time thinking about compound interest and why so many people understand it intellectually, but refuse to actually act on it. If you want to understand exactly how much your procrastination costs you every month, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if it changes how you think about your financial future. The difference between someone who starts investing at 20 and someone who starts at 30 is massive. Hundreds of thousands of dollars in difference by retirement, and the person who started at 25 didn't save more monthly, they just started earlier. Let me show you with real numbers. Say you can put away $500 a month into investments averaging 7% returns. Starting at 25, by 65, you have around $1.3 million. Now say a friend waits until 30 and starts the same 500 monthly, with only 35 years to compound instead of 40, he ends up with about 900,000. That's 400,000 less for starting just 5 years late. And if he waits until 35 to start, he'd need to save 1,000 a month just to match what you got, saving 500. He can't make up lost time. The longer you wait, the harder you have to work to catch up. Time is more valuable than money when you're young. If I had to choose between a young person with moderate discipline starting early versus a very disciplined person starting late, I pick the young person every time. Time is the resource nobody can buy. You can't create more hours by spending money, but you can make those hours work through compound interest if you start now. Here's something that really gets me when I think about this. Most people understand the concept of compound interest, at least intellectually. They've heard the saying that Albert Einstein called it the eighth wonder of the world or whatever. They might even recognize that starting early is better, but then they still don't start. They think, oh, I'll begin next year after I pay off this credit card, or after I get that bonus, or after I feel more financially stable. But the thing is, nobody ever feels financially stable. There's always another reason to wait, another bill to pay, another situation that makes it feel like now isn't the right time. And you know what happens? 5 years pass, then 10. And suddenly you're 45 years old thinking about retirement and realizing you've basically blown the entire advantage that early investing would have given you. It's like watching someone stand at the base of a mountain and think about climbing it for years while the sun sets and it gets colder and darker and harder to climb. At some point, you just gotta start climbing. Even if you can only climb a little bit, the problem is that compound interest isn't intuitive to most people because the results aren't linear. They're exponential. Your money doesn't grow in a straight line. It grows slowly at first, then faster and faster as time goes on. So when you're 25 and you invest your first $500, it might only earn $35 in returns that first year. You earned $35. That's it. Nothing impressive. It's easy to feel like this whole investing thing is pointless. Why am I limiting my spending to save $500 a month when it only generates $35? That math seems terrible. But here's where people get completely fooled by their own thinking. That $35 is also going to earn returns next year. And the year after, it compounds on itself. It grows. By year 10, that original first $500 has turned into almost $1,000. By year 20, it's nearly $2,000. By year 40, when you're ready to retire, that first $500 you invested all the way back at 25 has multiplied into almost $8,000 from $500. It's insane when you actually see it written out like that. And that's just the first month's contribution. Imagine what all 40 years of contributions do when each one gets that same compounding treatment. The mental shift most people need to make is understanding that you're not really investing for today. You're investing for 30 or 40 years from now. The money you put in right now is going to sit there, working, generating returns, and growing in ways that will seem magical when you look back on it decades later. This is why starting even a little bit early beats starting a lot late. Here's another thing that people don't really grasp until it's too late. The longer you wait, the more extreme your financial decisions have to become. If you start at 25, you can get rich by being relatively normal. Save $500 a month, make average investment returns, and you'll have nearly $1 million by retirement. That's a comfortable life right there. Nobody has to go crazy, but if you wait until you're 35, suddenly the math gets much tougher. You'd need to save maybe $1,200 a month to try to catch up. If you wait until 45, you're looking at like $2,500 a month or more. You're cutting way deeper into your current lifestyle. You're making it harder on yourself right now to compensate for time you wasted earlier. And if you wait until 50, you're basically in crisis mode. You're not investing anymore. You're desperately trying to scrape together whatever you can because you finally realize you're running out of time. That's not a fun position to be in. Compare that to the person who started at 25. At 50, they're not panicking. Their money has already grown so much that they can actually reduce their contributions if they want to and still end up in a great spot. That's the power of starting early. Your future options literally depend on the choices you make today. Now let's talk about something that really matters, but most people don't think about when they're young: your financial runway. This is this concept that once you have enough money working for you through investments, you gain this incredible flexibility in your life. You gain options. For someone who starts investing early by their 40s or 50s, their investment portfolio might be generating enough income that they could theoretically not work if they didn't want to. They could take a year off. They could take a lower paying job that they actually enjoy. They could start a business without the crushing pressure of needing to make money immediately. They could travel. They could spend more time with their family. They could just live differently. But for someone who waited until their 40s to start investing, or who never really got serious about it, they don't have those options. They still have to work. They have to keep grinding because they never gave their money enough time to work for them. The irony is that having options is actually incredibly valuable from a quality of life perspective, but you can only get those options by starting early and being patient. You can't buy your way into that luxury. You have to grow into it over time. There's also this psychological aspect that I think is really important. When you start investing young, you get decades to experience the ups and downs of the market. You see crashes, you see bull runs, you see your portfolio recover from losses. And because you're not relying on this money yet, you can stay calm. You can keep investing through the downturns. The person who waits until later and then invests heavily right before a market crash, they panic and sell at the worst possible time. They lock in their losses. But you've already been through a few cycles. You know how this works. You know the market recovers, so you actually do the smart thing. You keep investing. You buy more shares while they're cheap. That long-term psychological experience of going through market cycles is something money literally cannot buy. You have to earn it through time. Starting early also gives you the ability to fail and recover. Like, if you start investing in your 20s or early 30s and you make a stupid investment choice, you have time to recover from it. Maybe you lose a few $1,000s on something dumb. It sucks, but you've got 30 years before retirement to make it back. No big deals. Versus someone who waits until 55 and makes a bad investment choice. Now they don't have time to recover. That mistake might actually significantly impact their retirement. The price of failure is way higher when you start late, which ironically makes people more conservative and more likely to miss out on opportunities, whereas someone who started early can take calculated risks knowing they have time to recover if things go sideways. Let me give you another angle on this that might hit differently. Let's talk about what happens every single month that you delay. Every month. Not every year, but every single month. Like, when you delay starting, you're not just losing the money you would have invested that month. You're losing all the returns that money would have generated over the decades until retirement. let's say you're a year away from starting to invest, but you don't know it yet. You think you'll start next month, but something always comes up. So you delay another month. Well, that first month of delay, if you would have invested $500, that money would have compounded for the next 30 or 40 years. At 7% returns, that 1 month of contributions could turn into $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 by the time you retire. You didn't start a year late, you started 1 month late, and it already cost you thousands. Multiply that by 12 months in a year, and suddenly that 1 year delay has cost you tens of thousands of dollars. That's per year. If you delay 5 years, that's potentially hundreds of thousands. And most people don't even realize they're doing this. They think about starting, they think about it some more. They wait until January because new year, new me, and then February comes and something came up. So they delay again. Before they know it, 5 years have passed, and they've just casually discarded hundreds of thousands of dollars of potential wealth because they weren't intentional about when they started. Okay, so let's get real about something. I know a lot of people who are reading this or watching this are probably thinking, I don't have $500 a month to invest. I barely have $50. And honestly, that's okay. Here's the thing about starting early with investing that most people get wrong. The amount matters less than the habit. The most important part of starting early isn't the specific dollar amount you invest. It's that you start. You prove to yourself that you can do it. You build the habit because that habit is what compounds over time, not just your money. As you earn more money, your investing habit scales with you. You started with $50 a month when you were making $25,000 a year. Great. By the time you're making $40,000, you increase it to $100. By $50,000, you're investing $200. Every time your income goes up, your investing contributions go up, but you already have the habit ingrained. You already know how to do it. You already expect that percentage of your income to go toward investing. Whereas the person who never started, they get raises and all of it goes toward lifestyle inflation. They upgrade their apartment, their car, their everything. So their habits never change. They earn more, but they don't save anymore. They actually end up saving less as a percentage of income. The other thing people always say is, oh, I'm too old to start. I'm already 40 or 50 or even 60. I've missed the boat. Here's the thing. You've absolutely missed the boat compared to what you could have had if you started 20 years earlier. That's true. But you haven't missed the boat compared to not starting at all. Even starting at 50, if you invest aggressively for the next 15 years until you retire, you'll accumulate more than if you just give up and don't invest anything. It's not going to be as much as if you started early, but it's going to be significantly more than zero. And that matters. The perfect time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today, right now. Today is literally the only day you can control. You can't go back to 25. You can't undo the last decade, but you can start today. You can invest your first $500 or your first $50 or your first $5 today. And that choice made today will literally echo through the rest of your financial life. Here's something else that really bothers me about people who delay. They talk about compound interest like it's something that's going to magically happen to them someday. They know the theory, they might even read articles about it, but they don't actually put themselves in a position to experience it. And experiencing it is completely different from understanding it intellectually. When you actually see compound interest working in your own portfolio, when you watch your money grow without you doing anything, when you realize that your investments earned more money this year than you earned working, something clicks. You can't unsee it. You can't go back to thinking like someone who never started. But to get to that point, you have to start. You have to put in that initial discipline. You have to save and invest consistently for months and years before compound interest really kicks in and becomes noticeable. Most people don't make it that far because they give up too early. They don't see dramatic results in the first year or two, so they think the whole thing doesn't work. They quit. They give up just right before the exponential curve starts taking over. It's actually tragic when you think about it. The flip side of all this is that the cost of waiting isn't just financial, it's psychological too. There's this weird phenomenon where people who start young, even if they started with very small amounts, feel way more financially secure than people who earn way more money but never started investing. Someone who has $100,000 invested might feel wealthier and more secure than someone making double their income, but carrying debt and investing nothing. Why? Because that $100,000 is tangible. It's real. They can see it. They can see it growing. They can feel that security. Whereas the higher earner is just living paycheck to paycheck despite the big income. They don't have that psychological security. They don't have that proof that they're capable of building wealth. So they feel poor. They feel stressed because they've never given themselves a foundation to build from. Starting early gives you that foundation. It gives you something real to build from. It gives you proof that you can do this. And that proof compounds in your mind just like your money compounds in your account. So if you're sitting here thinking about whether now is the right time to start, let me give you the answer. The answer is yes, now is the right time. Tomorrow is not the right time. Later this month is not the right time. The right time is now, this week. This is the week you open a brokerage account or set up automatic transfers to an investment app. This is the week you commit to putting something away every single month, even if it's a small something. Because every week you delay, you're losing money. You're losing potential returns. You're losing the compounding that you can't get back. You can't travel back in time and invest money that you didn't invest. Once that week is gone, it's gone. You can't recover it. All you can do is make sure you don't waste the weeks that are coming up. You can't change the past, but you can absolutely change your future. And your future self will either thank you or curse you based on what you decide this week. Here's the beautiful thing about starting early. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to pick the exact right investment strategy. You don't need to time the market. You don't need to beat everyone else. You just need to be consistent and patient. You just need to put some money away every month, invest it in something reasonable like a broad market index fund, and then leave it alone. That's literally it. The person who started at 25 and invested in a boring index fund every month is going to absolutely crush the person who waited until 40 and tried to pick individual stocks or find hot investments every single time. Boring wins, consistency wins, time wins. Those are the things that matter. Everything else is noise. So, this whole conversation about starting early, about compound interest, about time being more valuable than money when you're young, it all comes down to one decision. Will you be intentional about your financial future, or will you let it happen to you by accident? Most people let it happen by accident. They drift, they delay, they wait for the perfect moment that never comes. And then they wake up at 50 or 60 wondering why they're not in a better financial position. They wonder why they're not ready for retirement. Well, wonder no more. This is the answer. You waited, you delayed, you never started when it mattered most. But you can still change that today. You can still make a different decision. You can still start investing. You can still build wealth. It won't be as much as if you started 20 years ago, but it'll be so much more than if you keep waiting. Every single day you wait is a day you're paying the price. So stop waiting. Start today.